Hi guys. Today's video is brought to you by Cambridge no, just kidding. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go through the process as to where we are. Our last video was on 4.7 where we were implementing. Let's go a little bit further and take this to a different level. So to split this up, we have core components and we have enabling components. All right, the core components are really what we were considering in the category management process. You're defining the category. Remember, it has to do with scope and keeping your scope from creeping. Your scope then turns into the role, and the role, remember, you decide which roles you're going to have in your overall company. You assign your roles based upon, it could be market trends, it could be your target market, it could be the format that you operate, those kind of things. So that's what's going to define your which ones have the destination categories, preferred, occasional, seasonal. Then you assess it based upon the role. That's the current state, but the current state has to have something to do with the role. Otherwise, you're apples and oranges. You need to make sure that you're measuring it properly. You put your scorecard together. Your scorecard starts to put some kind of a future aspect to it. This is where you put your opportunity gaps and you say, I need to close these gaps in some way, or I have an assortment gap, or I have a creativity gap, those kind of things. Now you're heading into your strategies, which came out of what you're trying to accomplish. Strategies always lead to tactics, and then you have implementation and then review, and it starts again. And it depends on the timing of the category. The best example is you should always be reviewing ice cream somewhere around January, so that by March you come up with a new set, a new planogram, and it's implemented before the ice cream season. That's how you schedule these things. Now you move over here to the enabling side, and this is where we're going to go for the next couple of videos. Performance measure. If you cannot measure, why are you doing it? This is hard to understand. Get this done first. In fact, this should be done in conjunction. Whoever's running your category management department should be working on this for you. All right, because this takes leadership throughout the organization to make sure that you have the right performance measures in place. And this is how well your inventory is performing on a shelf. This is how well your return on assets, this is your terms, this is everything. How much inventory you have on hand, how do you pay your trade, how do you get it out to the stores, do you cross-diet, there's so much stuff in there. So the performance measures, that's its own little animal over there. Your information technology department, although sometimes they will tell you that they don't, they do work for you. They are a service provider for those who bring in the money to the company. All right, I understand how it is dealing with an IT department, but they are a service provider. Organizational capabilities, the people you had in the past may not be great category managers. All right, this doesn't mean they're bad people. This just means you have to have an assessment in place of your people and whether or not they can go through and blend analytics, buying, creativity, marketing, merchandising, the whole works. This is being proactively interested in every other retailer and all the trends and the whole works. And then if you haven't gotten this as a basic tenet yet of category management, you haven't been listening. Cooperative trading partner relationships. This isn't going to be done alone, and this isn't going to be done in a fighting situation. You have to be cooperative and collaborative. This doesn't mean you roll over and let anybody do anything they want to. This just means you need to cooperate, communicate what your goals are, figure out what their goals are, and see if you can align them. That's the whole point here. Okay, so we're moving from goals and strategies of the company over into just getting it done. These measures, so company measures, category measures, and capability measures are all one big picture here as to how is this going to get done. All right, so you have consumer, market, and efficiency and financial. What I'm going to do is save this one for the next video. For category can be anything: sales, profit, return on assets, and we have a list of them in the book. So just kind of go through the entire list. Access to cost of goods sold, actual cost of goods sold, including funding that comes in from discounts and allowances, those kind of things. And then over here on alignment, make sure your company is aligned with getting this done. And part of company alignment is understanding that some of the goals of category management are actually long-term. I know that's hard to believe sometimes, that you can have a goal that's long-term, that doesn't have to be done in 4 weeks. But that's the point of category management, is getting it done long term. If the top leadership in your company doesn't believe in that, you might not want to try category management, because this all you're going to do is fight. Workload, don't confuse sales volume with workload. You've got to make sure you separate those two. And workload is going to be a function of sales volume, sales profit contribution, SKUs managed, vendors managed. That's a lot of work. You think about how much work you got to put into getting a spice category right. Even though it's not a major percent of business, has a lot of tentacles with it, right? If you're into spices, you're into cooking. If you're into cooking, you're into proteins. And if you're into proteins, it's side dishes. You just keep on going, all right? So spices are incredibly important to a store. And think of all the spices sitting there. That is a lot of work, all right? Now go over to the soft drink category, which gets all the glory because there's so much volume. It's a lot of work in dealing with third-party distributors and bottlers and contracts and contracts by county and all this other stuff. But it's not a ton of SKUs. So it's a lot of volume, not a ton of SKUs, not a whole lot of volume in spices, but you know what? That's a pretty important category. So think about that, all right? So that's what workload means. Organizational design, making sure that the flow of information is going back and forth quickly, and individual measures. Individual measures also means individual understanding how to respond to positive performance and negative performance, all right? This isn't Canada. Sorry if you're watching this from Canada. This isn't Canada. We don't just get participation awards. All right, you have to do something. All right, so in that point, let's go down here. Category manager, the role of the category manager, you develop the category business plans, you integrate the plans into the overall picture of the company, and you achieve your objectives. Sorry if this is the first time you've ever heard this. You have to achieve your objectives or you're not doing your job. All right, so what we're going to do is in the next video, we're going to go a little bit deeper into right here, consumer market and efficiency and financial. See you in a minute.